Namaste and greetings. I, Tripta Behra, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav एवं नीति अनुसंधान संस्थान, Nai Delhi, extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI Web Policy Learning. We are gathered today for day 1 of YLPPF, the Young Women Leaders in Public Policy Fellowship, an online National Winter School Program, a 2-month online immersive introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program organized by IMPRI Gender Impact Study Center, GISC. The chair for this program is Professor Vibhuti Patel, visiting distinguished professor IMPRI. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
The expert for the inaugural session for today is Ms. Amarjeet Kaur. Welcome you, ma'am. The conveners for this course are Dr. Arjun Kumar, Dr. Simi Mehta, Professor Gummadi Sridevi, and Advocate Dr. Shalu Nigam. I welcome all the participants to this enlightening deliberation and thank you for being interested and putting your time, energy, and efforts into fostering the development of young women leaders in public policy and helping us to bring together the practitioners and participants through this course for impactful policy research and action. Before we start today's session, I would like to remind the housekeeping announcements. Kindly join the meeting on time. There will be a Q&A session after each presentation. Kindly share your questions in the Q&A box. The questions must not be posted as an anonymous attendee. Kindly ensure that your questions are precise. Kindly refrain from making any general comments in the question in order to save time. Now, without further ado, let us start the program. I would like to invite Professor Vibhuti Patel to give her opening remarks and give us an introduction to the course. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Vibhuti, ma'am.
Thank you, friends. Welcome, Comrade Amarjeet Kaur. And first of all, I would
If we lost Vibhuti, ma'am, should just join back here.
Some connection problem with her.
Yeah, it seems.
Ma'am, please unmute.
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon, friends. First of all, I would like to welcome Comrade Amarjeet Kaur and thank you, IMPRI team, Dr. Arjun Kumar, Dr. Simi Mehta, Dr. Shalu Nigam, Ms. Tripta Behra, and esteemed participants. We are meeting here for the online course, which is for 2 months. We are going to be together for this immersive introductory leadership certificate training program. And to set the whole background, I think I would like to begin that women's leadership in public policy making was acknowledged when 15 women freedom fighters among the total number of 211 members were selected as members of Constituent Assembly way back in 9th December 1946. They were Amu Swaminathan, Dakshayani Velayuddin, Begum Aizaz Rasool, Durgabai Deshmukh, Hansa Mehta, Kamla Chaudhary, Leela Roy, Malti Chaudhary, Purnima Banerjee, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, Renuka Ray, Sarojini Naidu, Suchita Kriplani, Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, and NMS Karanas. These highly accomplished and brave women, they were from a different professional background, economic and socio-cultural background. They were amongst them, there were lawyers and educationists and writers and communicators, trade union leaders, institution builders, community organizers, and now they have become icon of women's leadership in public policy making in the independent India. Planning Commission, with its faith in trickle-down theory and the perspective of viewing women as beneficiaries of economy, mostly came up with the welfare policies for the women's upliftment between 1950 to 1975. This framework and the movement of concepts, policies, strategies was top-down, and women's agencies were missing. The period soon after independence saw earliest institutional structures for women's advancement set up by the state, and they were by central and state social welfare boards situated outside the bureaucratic structures. Although imbued with the idea of welfare perspective vis-a-vis women, the boards did foster women's leadership and made state accountable for them. And this was achieved to a large extent under vision and leadership of Dr. Durgabai Deshmukh. However, over the years, board carried out only the funding and the programmatic function. It was in 1972, as per the UN Directive, Committee on Status of Women was constituted to prepare in-depth report, and within 2 years, like in Towards Equality report, was tabled in the Parliament of India, and it was a landmark contribution of an interdisciplinary team of academicians, researchers, bureaucrats, policymakers who were influenced by women in development approach popularized by Esther Bosrup's pioneering work on African society, that women are just not the beneficiary or the sponge on the economy, they are the active agent which contribute to the nation's development. The report for the first time brought into open the fact that women were active producers in the household and the vast unorganized sector of the economy, and their contribution needs to be not only made visible, but it has to be acknowledged, and women's productive capacities have to be integrated for the nation building. The Declaration of 1975 as an International Women's Year and the decade as from 75 to 85 as the International Women's Decade also impacted the women's perspective about women's leadership and the visibility of women in the mainstream discourses that happened mainly because of crystallization of ideas and knowledge construction by Indian Association for Women's Studies, economists interested in women's issues group, and they focused, they also changed the way census reports or national sample survey or economic survey they were prepared, because there was a gender absent before that, and now there is a gender responsiveness that has come. Scholarly contributions of women's studies and women's movement found their reflection in two extremely important policy documents, Shram Shakti report and National Perspective Plan for Women in 1988. And these policy documents are ideologically influenced by women and development approach, and they focus on marginalization hypothesis. Over last 4 decades, Indian women have been active and vociferous participants and leaders of social movements of youth, students, workers, farmers, Dalit, tribal community, and religious and sexual minorities.
दो स्वेटर हो गया, 3 टी-शर्टें हो गई अंदर।
But the proportion of women in decision-making bodies for governance, criminal justice system, educational institution, and electoral politics is slowly increasing. But and now we have been talking about how to enhance women's participation, not only in the Panchayati Raj institutions, where more than 20 states have ensured 50% reservation. In 1996, it was Comrade Geeta Mukherjee from National Federation of Indian Women, the organization which is led by Comrade Amarjeet Kaur. They introduced the first women's reservation bill in the Parliament of India. After 37 years now, with passing of Nari Shakti Vandan Abhiyan in 2023, on women's reservation in Parliament of India, Indian women have entered in the era of stronger representation and agenda-setting power at national level. On 22nd September 2023, the bill became the Act of the Parliament of India, and it ensures 33% reservation of seats in Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly. And this will also apply to the seats reserved for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe in Lok Sabha and state legislature. In the seats reserved for SC/ST, this act provides for 1/3 seats to be reserved for women on a rotational basis. So it is in this context that we see the resurgence of interest in the issue of women's participation in decision making, and we feel honored that we have a leader from NFIW, Comrade Amarjeet Kaur, to deliver inaugural address on fostering women's participation in decision making. Over to IMPRI.
Yes, Tripta.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for such a lovely introduction. Now I would like to invite Ms. Amarjeet Kaur, the General Secretary, All India Trade Union Congress, to start with her session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Tripta. And Vibhuti ji has given all historical perspective and narrated various movements, various phases, how the women issues or in general the public policy interested issues were brought into focus, especially by the women activists, women leaders at various levels. Of course, I was General Secretary of NFIW during the period when we were fighting for 33% reservation issue at that time, when Geeta ji was taking all the initiatives. And presently, as Tripta told, I am General Secretary of All India Trade Union Congress. So, having set the tone with all the historical background by Vibhuti Patel ji, I would like to definitely tell my young girls the challenges. Despite all that what we have reached up till now, and slowly achievements in the issue of trying to have something like gender parity and all, which is still eluding us. It's important that I could place the challenges before us are there. Journey is very difficult. And all these young participants, and not only they, I would say many even of my age and less than my age, people do not know who were the women who were in Constituent Assembly, who played important role. If you ask any student of a PhD or a post-graduation or graduation, you talk to them, men or women, girls and boys, nobody will be able to answer. If you will ask even those who are in political and social domain, them, can you tell how many women were there and how they played their role in making of constitution and giving important inputs into the constitution? You won't find answers. So this itself tells the story how difficult it is to have a situation of gender parity in our society. And you cannot think a society advancing if gender question is not addressed. So having said that, I would like to say that in the public policy, women were there as participants. Women are there now as participants. And you youngsters in future will have to play a role in public policy making, those who will be entering into those eras. But those who will get elected as legislators, or those who will be legislating about, and the bureaucracy which will be preparing those items for the legislations in the states and in the center? Is it only public policy framework or making into it and participating into it? Is it that only? I would disagree with it. It's not only that. Until and unless the people in general, the masses in general, are part and parcel in the public policy making, the public policy, the way we want, as we desire, the direction we need, won't happen. And I would like to give examples. So societal participation is very, very important. That's why I don't think the women who are already MPs or MLAs and into the Panchayati Raj institution, only they are participating in political movements, or those who are in political parties, they are participating. No. The women who are active in the trade unions, in the women's movement, in the Dalit movements, in the movement for communal harmony, defending secularism, at the grassroots level, who are fighting day in and day out for their bread and butter also, and then also trying to have an environment of safety and equality in the society. This all forms part of participation in the politics of the country. And all this needs to be taken into consideration when we argue about public policy making. So from that point of view, I would like to talk to you people, not from the bookish understanding or what we do it at academic level. I would want it through life experience, what has been going on in the society, and why all those things need to be taken into consideration for public policy. So the young women who have to be in public policy, I'm addressing to you from that angle only. In this inaugural session, for 2 months, you will be having your course. You should be free and very fearless in asking very pointed questions, whatever is coming to your mind during this 2 months training program. Grill the resource persons also. You can ask me grilling questions to me also, even though I have come only for inauguration purpose, but you should ask grilling questions to me also. Now, first of all, when I argued for all those movements who play important role in addressing those who make the public policy, that they mean something and they matter. Their ideas, their views, their demands matter, and they have to be part of public policy. So from there, I would say that all those people who want to involve themselves into public policy making, first of all, they have to understand it has to have a humanitarian face. So humanitarian face means you have to argue for peace and harmony in the society. No development will be possible in the wars and conflict situations or within the society if it is polarized on the basis of caste or on the basis of religion or on the basis of cultures. We don't want to be polarized. We want to be respecting each other. We want to respect cultures and diversities. And one has to have a harmonious approach and peace in the society. Then only you can talk in terms of equality and justice. Equality and justice is not only a word for economic means. Equality and justice in all means. Social level, cultural level, economic level, for your education, for your health benefits, for your shelter, for your day-to-day living. So, public policy making's approach has to be humanitarian. Then one has to look at the gender question. So I told you in the beginning, Vibhuti ji named all those women who were in Constituent Assembly. Where have we reached? I told you that people do not know there were women and important women who participated in constitution making. So will they bother about what is there in Constitution for our women? For equality and justice to them? They don't even, if they recognize that women were important part of making the constitution. So gender is one question I will be talking about. Caste bias is in the society, I will be talking about. And now religious bias is predominantly being brought to the fore. And then there is a general bias towards poor in the society. Of every religion, of every caste, of every culture, of every area of our country. So there is a bias towards poor also. These things need to be taken into consideration when, as youngsters, you, the young girls, are dreaming to be public policy makers. So from that point of view, I am talking to you. Now, if we look at gender, with all whatever we achieved in laws, post-independence, weaknesses continued. Pre-independence, we began as a women's movement in this country. The women leaders who were in the freedom movement, they tried their best in different ways how future India will look like, how our constitution will look like. So pre-independence, those things were there. And our women were participants of the freedom movement. It's not that they were not participants of the freedom movement. And not only lip service participants, they were participants in every term. If there was armed struggle, they were there. It was underground movement, they were there. It was overground movement with Gandhiji, they were there. It was a left movement, communist movement, they were there. So it be Congress movement, it be communist movement, it be labor movement, it be peasants movement, pre-independence also, they were always there, part and parcel of that. Then in post-independent India, they played their role in constitution making and then post-independent India. But all the laws, what they wanted, were not given just like this. To get every law, there was a movement at the ground level. So inside parliament, you had to search friends. Outside parliament, you had to be on streets. Inside assemblies, you searched your supporters, and outside assemblies, you were on streets. And then only certain laws could be achieved. And slowly, big movement on against Dowry, a very big broad front was made by the women organizations, and then only they could achieve some rights. Similarly, the movement was fought by trade unionists and the women organizations, and then only we got a law on maternity benefit for our working women. And it took us so many years for Equal Remuneration Act. We ultimately got it in 75 and it was notified in 1976. That only after the status report on women, about which Professor Vibhuti ji was talking about. So that committee came out with several reports, and then we found that in the universities we had, because there were recommendations from that status of women committee report, and because of those recommendations we got some study centers, some initiatives came. Then in the universities we started getting the women studies departments, or at least some workshops, trainings and all. That became a part of curriculum in the campuses. So it was a long journey after getting independence in 47, and then having first parliament constituted in 1952, and several of the parliaments had taken place, and then it took us so many years to get even that Equal Remuneration Act. So it was a long journey. But there was always the lacuna in our existing laws. There was always a need of fighting for changes in those laws. Even getting those laws was not so easy. There was very good time at that time to have a common civil code, but that was not allowed. By the very same forces, it was not allowed. The very same forces who talk of common civil code today, uniform civil code they talk, and they were the first opponents of that during that time. It was a communal angle at that time to oppose it, and anti-women angle. And now today, sitting in the power, those forces talk of a uniform civil code again from a communal angle, not as a justice to women, but to use it as a weapon to political polarization of the society. So we have to understand, we were for women to have, common justice, whichever religion they belong to. And we continue to have the belief. But we do not want women to be used as a weapon for communalizing the society. So it was being done at that time. It is being done today. So these nuances, our young women have to understand what has been going on in the society, because it is becoming very tough in the public policy having a understanding of equality and justice, including for the gender. So what we saw when I was a youngster, at that time, I knew when Roop Kaur case happened. a sati system which was abandoned in 19th century after a social reforms movement. In 20th century, we fought back against it, and then suddenly we find in our country that a young girl, 18-year-old Roop Kanwar, a beautiful girl, she was forcibly made sati in Rajasthan. So the women's movement came up for changes in the sati law, because the law said you can have a choice of becoming sati. So you could not have contradictory laws. Under 306, you cannot force anybody to commit suicide. And a person who tries to take his or her life will be tried in court of law. And then on the other hand side, you say you have a right to go and die. So it is a contradiction. When we were fighting for changes in the law, to our astonishment, many of the member parliaments from different political outputs, some stood for sati, some stood against sati. And when we mobilized women in Delhi in front of parliament, that law must be amended. You can't glorify sati, and you cannot have a choice of becoming sati. It will be committing suicide, or family or society pushing the woman to die. So we will not allow it. This should be there. And to our astonishment, women were mobilized by the opponents of our opinion, and from Red Fort they were made to march towards parliament with all big thalis in their hands, putting sindoor and bangles over there, and then going to the parliament and saying sati is our right. Here I want to make a point. We should not think it is only men who will be going against women. Let us understand it is a political issue. And it is an issue of a deep attitudinal change, gender bias, feeling and attitudes. It is with men, it is with women. And women are also used against women. This we should understand. Patriarchal value system needs to be fought back. So along with public policy, how we will be designing of continuous changes to be brought in the attitudes of the society, in the patriarchal value system of the society. Even when you have a law in place, if the patriarchy functions, then you are not able to give justice. People are sitting in lawmaking, you won't get justice. People are sitting there in judiciary to give justice, announcing justice. You may not sometimes get there if that bias is there. People are there who are supposed to implement the judicial decisions. Bias will be there, you won't get justice. So it's a long journey when we talk of public policy making on this whole gender question. So it's not only having something in law, it is something how that law will get implemented. If those lawmakers or the justice givers or the justice implementers do not have an understanding of away from patriarchal thinking. So that is very important for us. So that's why I told you Roop Kanwar case, and I can't go into detail, but that was a case, and we had to fight, and we could bring in change in the law. We did succeed in bringing change in the law. Then you look at the case of Bhamri Devi. No, you are making a system that you say no child marriage. Okay, campaign for it. Go to the people and don't allow child marriage. And Bhamri was doing only that. She was one of the Sathin of government program in Rajasthan. And she was raped because she stopped the child marriage and raped in front of her husband. And how many years it took for her to get justice? And then you find those people who were acquitted from High Court in Rajasthan, they were garlanded and welcomed. And not only that, the judgment given while acquitting them had 2 points. One was, how can a upper caste man go and rape a woman of a lower caste? Does anybody, first of all, those who are harassing women and sexually exploiting them, do they go and ask them their castes or their legions? It doesn't happen. This is being used as a weapon of punishment to the woman. And this is what happened with our Sathin, Bhavri Devi. And not only second argument was, her husband is not an independent witness. Which husband would want to go to the court and give an evidence that my wife, my life partner was raped in front of my eyes? No man would like to do. Only the man who is really troubled with that incident will dare to speak about that. And the judiciary says we don't want to take it as serious evidence. So you can look at bias when I am talking of bias. Look at the bias. Recently, we heard one of the women judge magistrate. She said to Chief Justice of India, please give me right of committing suicide. I am being harassed and I am not getting justice. You can imagine this is happening today. I am talking of Bhavri Devi case of that time. And I am talking of today when a magistrate a few days ago it appeared in the press. So where have we reached? Then the question is, justice eludes us. If those who are supposed to give justice, if they are not sensitive from gender point of view and they are not away from patriarchal value system. So this is a long journey. I just quoted Bhavri Devi case to tell you. It was in that case Vishakha judgment came, when Justice Verma spoke about it. And it took trade unions for so many years and women's movement to have a law. But we were not getting the law until Nirbhaya case happened. And after Nirbhaya case, Justice Verma commission is made. And then Justice Verma hears more than 80 groups and their representatives. And then ultimately 2012, we get a law on sexual harassment at workplace for prevention of that. But is that applicable? Is that law, that applicability is easy? It's not so easy. Are women getting justice through that? It's not true. If a woman magistrate has to say, allow me to commit suicide because nobody is listening to and I am facing sexual harassment, what about common women? Working in field, working in factories, working in different areas or offices, any place? So it's a serious issue as far as women are concerned. They go for education, they go for job situations. It's not only harassment happening at home. I'm talking of harassment which gets extended if in the families patriarchal value system is not tackled, then that is carried by the men folk outside, and that is what happens at every place. So whole society has to be part and parcel of public policy making from that point of view when it comes to question of gender or of caste or of poor people. All that needs to be taken into consideration. So Nirbhaya case happened. Then we know the latest example is what? Wrestlers case. So the young girls who brought laurels for the country, won medals, and the top people in the government feel very pride in taking pictures with them. But when those young girls knock the door and say, we are sexually harassed, please do something. And the government doesn't budge. The leaders don't budge. They sit on the parliament and then they say, okay, you get up from the parliament, we will get you justice. For 3 months, they are not heard. And then they again sit in front of parliament at Jantar Mantar, they sit. And still they don't get justice. They go to Supreme Court. With direction of Supreme Court, a case is registered. And then they fear that the case won't go through until the investigations begin. We will keep sitting here. But what happened to them? Support from all over India came to them. But what was done to them? The perpetrator, alleged person, was enjoying the function inside new parliament, opening of that parliament, and these young girls along with their brothers and friends in the wrestling field, they were being dragged on the streets. And we have seen those scenes are so horrifying. You see, putting boots on their faces, taking them from hairs and dragging them on the road. It was so humiliating for those young girls who brought national pride in winning. And then they want to immerse their medals. They were stopped by the farmers' leaders. And then the officials and the ministry people call them and they say, no, don't worry, we will get justice to do. We will ask the police to continue with the case properly and don't fear that. And then they seek a promise. Okay, the person who is alleged should not be allowed to contest in WFI election. His relatives, his friends should not be allowed to do it, and they are promised. And what did you see recently? Sanjay Singh wins election and Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh says, look, we were powerful. We are powerful. We will remain powerful. It was humiliation of those young girls once again. And what did we see? Sakshi Malik crying, Vinesh Fogart crying, Bajrang Punia sitting between these two young girls, wrestlers, and then Sakshi Malik takes her shoes, puts on the table and says, I leave my game. Those are the shoes which are in their wrestling ring. Like a cricket bat for the cricketer or a racket for the badminton player. So shoes with which they wear and they go to the ring for wrestling. So she put it on the table. And next day Bajrang Punia goes and gives his medal. Leaves on the streets while going towards Prime Minister office. And then 2 days after, then Vinesh Fogart also returns both those things. What does it show? We are in 2024, we have entered. I'm talking of December 2023, what was happening in our country. So despite all that, what our women did in public policy making, participating, making this India grow, develop in every possible manner, bringing laurels to our country. And then where do we stand when it comes to our honor and dignity? So that is a question. I wanted to give that example latest. And last year, what happened to Bilkis Banos? Prime Minister at Red Fort stands and says, ki I am for women. And at the very same moment, the perpetrators of Bilkis Banos were being released. Why they were being released, Baba? Because you want to face elections. If the elections are so important, just to win by hook and crook, and that becomes the major criteria and not the half the population of your country, then where do we stand? And that's why public policy not only on papers, constitution not only on paper, it needs to be realized in practice. And if it is to be realized in practice, then the people in general who are there, their aspirations have to be taken into consideration. And whatever at social cultural level is a detriment to it or stops it or it goes against it, that all those hurdles need to be broken. If those hurdles are not broken, just that public policy on paper will have no meaning. That's the point I'm trying to make. And that's why I come to the second question. And before that, I have been part and parcel of the movement for asking for Women Commission for our country. Having establishing Women Commission at all India level, establishing state Women Commissions, then fighting for the policy of workplace, no harassment to take place and all. I have been part and parcel being in the women's movement as well as being in the trade union movement. I have seen all the nuances. I have seen all the difficulties. I have seen all the hurdles and I feel pained. What is happening in last few years is or reversal happening. Whatever we fought for and we got, reversal is happening. And that's where our young policy makers will have to be very strong to look into these questions from practical point of view and think in a new way, think out of the box, how we are going to cross these hurdles. That is more important for us. Public policy becomes implementable. Whatever we make should be implemented. If it's not implemented, there is no fun in having it on, even on paper. What will be the use of having it on paper? I'm all for having it on paper, but I am for implementing it. And that public policy framework should tell us how implementation is ensured. That should be our understanding in the coming days. We should try to. Then I look at the second bias, that is caste bias. Our constitution tried to address it. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was very clear how to avoid this caste bias in the society, how to bring equality for all, how to give affirmative steps to them so that they can be better involved into education, into job situations, into livelihood questions. So this caste bias not only telling, "Arey tum to achut hai, piche ho jao." Caste bias to be addressed from economic point of view also, from social point of view also, from education point of view also. That is how Constitution talks about it and tells about it. But now if privatization of all public sector and government jobs ultimately goes into outsource and private sector, all that Constitution efforts which were made to bring these sections into the mainstream of economy, where will they go? Because private sector, no reservations are there. So caste bias will not get handled, that caste bias will continue. And it will further, once again, go in the backward direction. From where we have come little forward, we will be pushed back into the backward direction. So public policy means you have to have a public services. You have to have government intervention. You have to have public sector. You have to have government jobs. And then only Constitution will get implemented in them. And certain sections who benefited out of that could try to come out of that kind of social discriminations also. Even though despite that, we find that social discrimination continuing. How come it is that young students who they have so much dreams of becoming doctors and they commit suicide in the universities, saying that there is a bias against us? We know cases of students in medicine, students in engineering. Such suicides have happened only because of social bias against them. So why this is happening? One has to ponder over it. And that's why they were having some kind of reservation in education, even that will go. But if they have reservation in education and then environment is not socially favorable to them, they will not be able to pursue the courses. And that is a ground reality in front of us. So this question needs to be addressed in the policy framework in a way that you cannot do away with the government sector, with the public sector. And you cannot stop giving jobs over there to all general groups or the SC, STs groups. And now education is for OBC also, it is there as per law. So from there, I think that that caste bias continues to exist. And those interested in public policy have to look the humanitarian angle and justice and equality to all sections of society. Then this question needs to be addressed appropriately in that direction. Then, as we know, these social atrocities continue there. Then I come to the third issue. The third issue is bias towards poor. And I am not happy with giving free food to the people. You can't keep them as beggars, that you eat and sleep. That's all. Your tummy is full. Your education is not your need. Health is not your need. Social security is not your need. No future security of any kind of pension. Job is not your right. Livelihood is not your right. Only have some grains, eat and sleep. This kind of a vegetative society we do not want. When the Food Security Act was being fought, it was being fought from various angles so that you can provide them cheaper rations, affordable rations. That security from that point of view. And providing security to farmers who are poor and middle farmer so that their crops could be, their produce could be procured by the government for some price so that they also live appropriately. and then some kind of a distribution system where the poor masses with the poor income are able to afford it. Nobody is wanting you give free and don't give them job and don't give them livelihood. It was only COVID period when it was demanded because the jobs had gone, livelihood has gone. And we said that start distributing free ration because you have enough in your FCI godowns. But that can't be a permanent policy. Better to have universal ration system and affordable ration rates, giving a little free and the rest when the family wants more than this, you are paying double or triple in the market. Then nothing remains free because instead of cheaper ration, you are going to the market rate. It again equalizes. It doesn't remain free. But then there is a bias towards poor, as if they don't have any right to education or health. They should not be, they should continue living animal life and not be enlightened citizens of the country. So there is a bias towards poor. That's why their wage questions, their lively questions are not addressed. This will harm even the farmers. If the farmers will not be given a proper produce and it will not be through the government governed mandis or markets, then we can understand the agrarian crisis will not be addressed. And till today, vast majority population is depending on agriculture sector for their living, for their survival. That agrarian question needs to be addressed. It's not only having lots of crop through corporate houses and Anis or Ambanis, and then you say, there is enough, we will distribute. What about all those people who will be away from their land? They will go further into distress. You will be increasing the poor population. So instead of that, dignity of labor should be provided. People should be given jobs and livelihood situations. Let them live with dignity, proper wages, proper earning, and then they will buy at affordable prices. Let education and health be their right. So this bias towards poor continues, and some people think that they need to be pitied upon and to be given some free food items. That's all. That approach is wrong. So public policy has to correct itself as far as that is concerned. And that's where we need to take care of. Then among these poor masses, vast majority are informal economy workers, unorganized sector workers. We have been demanding social security for all of them. We have been asking for pension for all of them. We have been talking of occupational safety for them. But instead of that, new codes are brought to tame the unions and to weaken whatever existing social security is there. Wage definitions are changing, and code on industry is changing the way relations between workers and employers were there. The right to strike of workers, right to agitation of workers, all that is under attack. So what should be our approach to workers? Workers are wanting proper wages. They are asking for safety at workplace. They want health benefits. They want social security. They want their working hours to remain 8, rather reduced if mechanization happens, but not increase. But the arguments are to increase their work hours. When the battle in 1896 began for 8 hours of working, and the whole world working class fought for it, and in 1919, International Labour Organization is founded, and the first convention is on 8 hours of working. And suddenly, in this advanced stage, when so much science technology has happened, when the production is manifold, at that stage, people coming and giving a statement increase their working hours. This is anti-labor approach, and it is anti-development approach, and it is anti-poor approach. So from that point of view, I think the workers' issues need to be addressed, and we should understand almost 20 crore Indians are of migratory nature. They are migrant workers. They are working outside their homes into different districts within the states, or they are working in other states. And this scenario that they are in difficult conditions were not heeded to by anybody until in COVID-19 people saw how many workers were on the roads and they suffered and they walked to their home places. They said, we don't want to die here without our families. It is better we go and die with our family. Those linkages with the family, the social linkages, the cultural linkages, their family linkages is a humanitarian approach. It's not something backwardness. They wanted to be with their nears and dears at that stage. And we saw their suffering. But what is happening? The Migrant Act is being dumped. No national policy being made. And who are these people? They are people poor or the lower economic group people who migrate to other places for their livelihood. I'm not talking of those who are better placed, better educated, and having better jobs. I'm talking of millions and millions of those who migrate in distress situation because they don't have proper livelihood any place. Some go without their families, some try to go with half of their family, and only few of them become settlers in the town areas, or rest of the people remain of a migratory nature. So this working class question needs to be addressed in the public policy framework appropriately. That should be our target, and we should be very much aware of certain facts and then what is going on at the ground reality, and then to see how the justice can be brought to them into the policy making situations. Then the last point which I definitely want to bring about is, after that we can take question answers. That is the whole new scenario of bias in the belief, bias on religious grounds happening in this country. And it is challenging our constitution itself. The main preamble of the constitution is under attack. We have to be very careful about it. It's a very serious matter. All the issues I talked about. If our constitution itself is crushed upon, deviated, or changed, then it will be a backward motion going to British era. And that's why we have to be, the public policy makers should look into this question very seriously in future. So our young girls have a lot at their hands if they really want to contribute into the onward movement and forward movement of the country, and not taking the country in regressive direction, in the backward direction. So it becomes so hate environment that in a COVID-like situation, our hawkers and vendors were being stopped for running their livelihood. Telling that in this mohalla, that poor fellow who will earn a little till evening after roaming around with the hawking vending, and you are telling you cannot sell your goods. You will not be allowed in this area. You run away from there. This is what we saw. Trying to economically punish them because they belong to Muslim minority. And then COVID-like disease, a natural disaster, which does not discriminate between any religion, and suddenly they tried to put the blame on Jamatis who had come before the lockdown period with proper visas from our own ministry. Our own government had given visas to them and they were here. And nobody knew suddenly the lockdown will happen. And then you try to say these Jamatis have brought this disease from somewhere. Was the government serious in January when our students or our visitors were coming from abroad, and some of them from affluent families, without having gone under test, and even they went under test and they got positive, they never exposed it to the society, and they were roaming around, attending different functions and spreading the disease? Nobody questioned that. But then they wanted to utilize the environment to further communalize in a disastrous situation also. You can understand how dangerous it is. Bias on religious ground will tear our country apart. And we do not want that. This question of development, public policy will have no meaning if the nation itself is fragmented and is broken into various parts. It should not happen. So communal harmony is very important when I said humanitarian in the very beginning. And I talked of peace and communal harmony in our society. No communal hatred. Harmony is needed between communities, between religious groups, between cultural groups. How come for politicians of the same political party in Goa to say we will give you better beef, in Kerala to say we will give you better beef, and in Meghalaya to say, oh, we also eat beef, but then in UP you say those who are eating beef go to Pakistan. People from the same political outfit giving different states in different states, different statements. Within a state, in different statements in different districts. Why? Because vote is to be gained. No, this is too dangerous a situation. And that's why the youngsters who want to enter into this public policy framework and want to do something in this field, they must look into these questions as very, very serious questions. Because these, when communal harmony is disturbed, women are the worst sufferers. You young girls should understand what happened in Gujarat to our women. We should understand in Jammu Kashmir how the communals of both the varieties were trying to impose things on women. Our Kashmiri women, Hindu or Muslim, they don't wear bindi. They started telling all Hindu women must wear bindi and sindoor. And our Kashmiri women, Muslims and Hindu, many of them wear burqa. And many of them do not wear burqa. And they started telling Muslims should wear burqa, whereas Hindus were also wearing burqa. So we found in Jammu Kashmir, in Punjab what happened during Khalistani movement? They started telling, nobody will be tolerated with skirts or saris. You must wear salwar kameez. And you can't have chunni and dupatta hair. Put it on your head. And with stick, they were telling the girls, hey, put on your head. We have seen all varieties of communalists are like this, dictating terms on women. So we saw in Gujarat, we saw in Punjab, we saw in Jammu Kashmir. And then when these things increase, then there is no question of Hindu, Muslim also. That is that you see in this case of wrestlers, was it a question of Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian? No. But again, they tried to give it a caste angle. Jat versus non-Jat. Why they were trying to do it? You don't want to give justice to those girls, and then you are trying to say they belong to one particular community and that community is against this fellow who is being accused and all. So we should understand that these biases are very, very dangerous. How to come out of these biases is important. And when the society becomes communalized and polarized, it hits women, it hits poor, it hits the economy of all these sections, and then it doesn't become a proper environment to live. It leads to frustrations, anxieties, depression. People get sick, mentally sick. Society will become mentally sick. You become so much fearing of the other. The fear of the other is created. And with that, the other fear, you are not at peace at yourself. So in that background, the public policy framework is not an easy task. It is a very tough task. But it is very easy task if it is only in the question of framing laws and putting in full stop, comma and all into booklets and teaching. But if the public policy is taken up workable, real, out of the biases, to remove all those biases, then all those issues need to be taken into consideration in the public domain, which are there, to be brought into the discourse of public policy making, and to have public policy which is implementable, not to have something good only in the books. Let it be there, you see, related to the lives of people as well as realizable things. So the young women who are doing this course for 2 months, it's a very interesting subject chosen by IMPRI. I really thank IMPRI for taking up this course for our young girls. And you will benefit so many of resource persons I see on the board, which is behind Professor Vibhuti Patel. So many persons I'm seeing over there. You will have very valuable inputs from them. But definitely, I would want you to ask me questions. I remember how Justice Verma, in one of the seminar, it was a workshop going on. India was into the making of, women were demanding this Domestic Violence Act, prevention of domestic violence. So Indira Jaising, advocate in the Supreme Court, she was given responsibility of conducting discussions all over India. And after those discussions being conducted in the universities, in the colleges, and in seminars, workshops, then to bring into all the input for policy framework for this Domestic Violence Act to be adopted in India. So that bill was being debated. So in Delhi, when the final seminar was happening, Justice Verma was present in that. I was there, I was also invited. Then there were some very important professors there, some legal luminaries were there, others were there. And political persons were also there. I was there as a unionist as well as with the background of women's movement also. And there, Justice Verma, narrating his experiences, he said that I understand no field is away from anti-gender, anti-women attitude. And he says even judiciary, there are people. At that, I'm saying how 20 years ago this was being argued. And he gave examples from life. And then he said, IPS Gill's case, in that case, ultimately, slowly and slowly, step by step in Supreme Court, ultimately he was exonerated. Acquittal happened for him. Then, because somebody from the audience had asked question, Justice Verma, what is your opinion about that? So he was telling. He said, look, when I saw the judgment, after the judgment was delivered, I was very curious. I wanted to know from them, do they think they have done justice? And do they think the justice delivered is correct by them? So he said, I asked them. I asked them in one of the get-together, we were there, and on the side of, after taking tea, I was with the two of those judges, and I asked them, do you think no injustice was done to that lady who raised that question? They said, yes, she faced injustice. Then do you think Gill was not responsible that misbehavior with her? He said, Justice Verma said, they said, yes, we know that he had misbehaved with her. So do you think that this misbehavior can be counted into some sort of a sexual harassment? They said yes. Then Justice Verma said that I asked them, then if you believe all this, then why did you exonerate him? why Gill was left just like this? And insult to that woman, an IPS officer, a woman with integrity, a woman who dared to challenge her own officer that you have misbehaved with me. So why to give this? This is not a good signal to the women and to the society. So then Justice Verma said, what was their answer? And he shared that answer with us. They said, no, we thought he is a decorated police officer because there was terrorism in Punjab. He played an important role. So we thought we should not give judgment against him. So then I asked Justice Verma, had it been a case reverse, what would have been the role of those men? Justice, he said they would have definitely given punishment to that woman. But they did not give punishment to the man by saying that he's a decorated person. And don't we know that a very so-called decorated person had misbehaved with the friend of his own daughter who used to come for playing? Then when she dared to take up the stand, her brother was involved into false cases. And when she got to know my brother is being involved into false cases, she committed suicide. So all this we know what has been going on. So from that point of view, it's a long journey as far as women are concerned. Similarly, it is no less journey for those who are facing caste bias. And it will become very serious for our country. A very, very long journey to come out of this kind of polarization which is happening on religious lines. It will be too dangerous. And it will be so difficult in, you see, removing this inequality which is there, which is haunting the poor, taking away their lives. The way inequality is growing day in and day out. India is becoming so much indebted, 3 times than what we were 10 years ago. That much indebted we are today of the foreign loans which India has taken. And inequality has reached to a level that the 1% top Indians are owning 40% of total wealth in India. And 50% Indians from the bottom up to 50%, 70 crore Indians have only 3% of the total wealth of this country. This is the level of inequality which has risen. In the last few years, very fast this has happened. So if that kind of economic model will be there, where will this bias against poor go? How they will get dignity, that their hands get some work and they have dignity of labor and proper wages and having a proper shelter at home, at their head, and some education and help to their family members and children to be properly educated, to dream for future. So all these are great hurdles. I am not frightening you. I am only telling you the challenges. And I am only telling you the law making on paper, public policy making on paper will have no meaning if it doesn't have relation to the ground realities. And if it doesn't take into consideration the movements which are there at the grassroots level. Dalits are fighting, women are fighting, trade unions are fighting, farmers are fighting, social activists are fighting, students are fighting, teachers are fighting, all of them are fighting. No, you will talk of equality and justice. And then suddenly you find that from your books, Darwin theory has been removed. That means you should never know how the human society developed in the society. Then you suddenly find that Maulana Azad is out of syllabus now. A great man who was against India's division and who remained in India and played important role in India's development. And because he happens to be a Muslim named Maulana Azad, you remove him from the history books itself. Why? And then you want to remove truth, killing of Mahatma Gandhi by Nathuram Godse. And you remove this from the chapter away. So Nathuram Godse killed Gandhiji is not there. But who motivated Nathuram Godse is there very much in the chapters included. So these things means what? You are young girls, I'm telling you. This means the next generation should not know the truth. Next generation should not be scientific. So no Darwin theory. Next generation should not know that working class to play a role in making a better society. So Industrial Revolution chapter has been removed from courses. Industrial Revolution in England played important role the world over, giving some positive things, and of course future capitalist society, negative things also. But Industrial Revolution against all serfdom and all, that landlordism and all, that kind of exploitation and all, it broke the old shackles. So Industrial Revolution is very important to learn for our younger generation. That has been removed from syllabus. So don't think the public policy will be at one level and all other things which are to be connected with it can go the other way around, and then you keep speaking blah, blah, blah. We are for the good of all sections. And on the other hand side, you create human beings who are totally unscientific, totally conservative, and they are totally communal in mind or casteist in mind or against gender, female gender in mind. If that kind of creation on one side and public policy talking something else, there will be no synchronization, there will be no implementation happening, and then ultimately we will be on crossroads. And that's why very good that you have chosen this subject for these young girls for this training. It will be long way for them to go, and definitely they will benefit from this course. And I am so happy that you asked me to come for inauguration, so that I can throw certain points which need to be probed and asked during this 2-month-long training program. Thank you very much, and if there are questions, I'm there to reply.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a insightful, informative, and an extremely thought-provoking session. Before we move on to the Q&A session, maybe Vibhuti, ma'am, if I would request you to give your remarks.
I think Comrade Amarjeet Kaur has given us, set the tone for this whole course. Her lecture encapsulated whole 8 decades of India's development challenges. She began with the contribution made by women freedom fighters. She also gave us the whole insight of massive contribution different social movements have made in our country, and the important historical developments that happened and the landmarks in the women's rights movement, women's studies movement, and also some of the examples and the case studies she gave of the, whether it was a Devrala case, the Devrala Sati issue, or Bhavri Devi's violence against Bhavri Devi, the casteist and communal violence that we are facing, and multifaceted challenges that the younger generation of policy makers are going to face. I think she has given us a very important insight and the framework for deliberation and the multifaceted challenge. How can we collectively combat it? Because her life is an example, her organization is an example, how they have articulated women's needs and demands and dreams, and also at every level. It is not only that she's a public intellectual, but grassroots activism and building the movement, collective wisdom of the women's movement, and challenging the very, very patriarchal, misogynist, and classist state. I think that is these are the learnings from your lecture. And we feel really honored that you have given us this valuable time. And in this last 1 hour, 20 minutes, you have made such an insightful presentation, taking up all dimensions of women's existential reality and the intersectional vulnerabilities that women of different sections of Indian society are facing. Thank you very much. And you also brought in the macroeconomic forces, neoliberal forces, the economic policies, farm policies, or the policies against the working class. I think these are very important to provide the comprehensive understanding of the situation to all these aspirants who want to be active in the public policy making, either as a politician or as an administrator or as an educationist or as an NGO activist. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we can move
So,
on to the
Tripta,
Q. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
any questions?
Yeah, there are questions.
There are quite a few. I'll just maybe our participants can feel
They
free
can
to
unmute and
yeah.
speak. Yeah.
So Anisha ji, if you would like to go ahead.
Good evening to all of you, and I'm very grateful to be a part of this session. Ms. Amarjeet Kaur, I'm really so happy to hear all the brilliant things that you brought to light. Actually, I have a question which is not like very pointed, but there is something that happened very recently about Minister for Women and Child Development talking about the menstrual leave to be not like a handicap, and how, like, if we talk about it or if we ask for a menstrual leave, then it would be taken as a discrimination against women in the workplace. So I just want to, like, my question is, how can we change this opinion of the public that just when we are asking for gender equality or gender parity, we have to be exactly the same way that men are, without considering our specific challenges which we face as women?
Can you introduce yourself? What
yes,
are you doing?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, shall I do it now or after
Yes. Yeah. No,
ma'am
now.
is done?
Let
ask me.
my Comrade Amarjeet Kaur also know your background. Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Anisha Koshi, and I'm currently working as an assistant professor of English literature at Physicswala Institute of Innovation in Bangalore. And like, I have been teaching literature for around 4 years, and one of the major reasons that I'm here is so that I can understand how this, as ma'am said, about uh, like actually the root based situation, how can we change it? So even in my class, whenever there is a lecture related to feminism or any of the things, when we talk about gender equality, most of the boys or most of the men in the class, they somehow already lose interest or are in a defensive mood. So I just want to know, how can we actually change the mindset from the beginning?
Good.
So, any other question?
Yeah.
Or do I answer this and then we invite?
Yeah, please, you answer
Okay.
this and then, because they are different.
You see, asking for equality at workplace, equality in question of equal pay, equal wage, it doesn't mean that we cannot ask for equality for no sexual harassment at workplace. Are we saying that men should not demand no sexual harassment at workplace? We are not saying. We are saying sexual harassment at workplace. Don't put man and women. Maybe women are 95% who face it. Maybe 5% men who may be having some situation where women wants to misuse a law against him. But what is the ground reality? Vast majority, it is women who face that problem. So you cannot say, because we were told even when we were demanding for sexual harassment should not happen at workplace, we were being told that how you will get jobs. Employers will not give jobs. When you go out for work, this is part of your working life.
Right.
You have to tolerate, you have to adjust. How can we tolerate and just with our dignity? Body belongs to us. How we can allow anybody to misuse a power situation? We cannot forget Mathura case. Vibhuti Patel ji must be knowing that young girl who was raped in a police station in Maharashtra. At that time, I was student leader in Delhi University. I was doing my studies.
Yeah.
Then Mathura case, justice came. Justice Bhagwati was chief justice. And it was for the first time Supreme Court was gheraued by the women organizations. And I remember with so many girl students and even boys, we had gone in front of Supreme Court participating in that. And then Justice Bhagwati called a delegation of women. And then they decided from students we should have one. And I was chosen to be one among the students. And Justice Bhagwati said, I'm really ashamed of that judgment. Don't worry, we will set up a bigger bench and we will reverse that decision. And then Mathura case was reversed. Because in Mathura case, they said that, no, that woman, that girl was of easy virtue. She was not even adult, that girl. And she was coming from the tribal background. And she was raped, and they tried to say she was habitual to the sex act. So if she was being raped again and again, what doctors will say? Habitual only will say, na? But a person in a police station cannot challenge the authority of that policeman, and she was being raped. And Supreme Court says that we don't find that to be a rape for her because she was habitual of sex. So this kind of a thing, and then that judgment was reversed, and then there was a big agitation in amending rape laws, and rape trial to happen in camera. All those changes came to the law after that particular case. So if you ask for persons being in power hierarchy can definitely misuse their situations against other gender in the lower hierarchy, especially the women. This got established in that case, and later on this battle went on. It doesn't mean that justice which we got in Mathura case ultimately is being given. No, time and again the reversals are happening, because those who sit in the seat of judgment, if they are in that mind, you can understand. That is the kind of situation. So I also know when this Maternity Benefit Act was being introduced in Parliament, some people said, don't do it. Women will lose jobs. Women will lose jobs. We said for some time they will lose job in certain sectors. But ultimately, they need it. So when they find jobs in new areas, there when this law will be implemented, they will benefit it. So I know that 90% and above used to be women in the textile industry. In the all private industries, all women lost jobs. We know it. It happened. I was a small child, but my seniors told me what happened at the ground reality at that time. So women lost jobs. That is true. But it did not deter those who were forward looking to say that maternity benefit is needed. And today we know there is a 6-month leave. Even though we know hardly 4 to 5% working women are enjoying Maternity Benefit Act. Vast majority of unorganized sector women are not enjoying any maternity benefit. So public policy also means how to make it inclusive, how to include all our women in the informal economy to get maternity benefit, so that the government set up a fund of maternity benefit. Each and every woman which does not have employer-employee relationship also is a self-employed woman, or home-based woman, or a domestic worker, or a hawker or vendor, or in small factories which are not registered. All women should get these benefits, those who are in contract and outsourced job. So we have to be forward-looking. So similarly, this question which Smriti Irani tried to say on this menstrual cycle, I gave that background that it's not a new thing. Whenever women will ask something, they will say, oh, in workplace, you will not be treated as equal. What is this and all? So it's not something new. Smriti Irani is representing backward thinking. She should understand this thing, and she will never realize it. Having all benefits without much of hard work in the political life, or she is not realizing what is happening to the woman down below. Now here what she says is that if we give them in the maternity benefit, first you tell me how many women are going to use it, how many young girls, what is their age limit of having children, and many of them are trying only one child. So what they have done is, in the law, on this, they are trying to say earlier, I will come to the today's controversy. Earlier they said if somebody has 3 children, all welfare benefits will be stopped. Then they came to 2. We will give benefits up to 1 child and not beyond that. That also they said, as if woman is deciding how many children she would have. Everything is not depending on her. Many times it's men who are taking decision and the whole family which is taking decision, and she is forced to go. And with sexual determination test, We know how the women are used as machines to every year to conceive and go for test, and if it is a girl, go and abort. So they have been used as experiments. Now, when the question of a menstrual cycle comes, every woman will not be demanding. It's those who have serious problems. They would be demanding, not every woman. And especially during menopause period, it becomes quite serious during that period. Very heavy bleeding with women. So difficult for them. And I give you one example. In the railways, in the claims office in Delhi, we had a union there. I was telling our men comrades, so many girls are there, you are not recruiting them into unions. They said, you have to inculcate some interest in them. So I said, okay, I will form a women federation unit there and then talk to them and then call you people also and then encourage them to be union members and active leaders over there. So that worked, that helped. And then they were becoming vocal for their problems. They said, we don't have separate toilet here. We don't have place to sit during lunchtime. So they started telling their issues. And I told union to address their issues now. Now, when this separate toilet they were asking, because they were joked upon, there is no, you see, separate dustbin there. And for their menstrual period, if they need that dustbin there, it was not there. They were finding problems. Then one day one happened. One of the lady who was sitting, I told those girls, keep fighting for this thing. And I told union they should have some separate toilet also here. So that fight was going on. Then one woman officer came there. Those girls were very happy. Now the woman officer has come. She will get us separate toilet. I told them, don't think you will get it separate toilet. If she will be gender sensitive, she will give you. If she is only thinking I'm administrator, she will not give you justice. So don't have this man versus woman. It's a societal issue. Men and women have to understand. And men are women who will not understand. So take it in this manner. Same thing happened, that woman officer did not listen to them. And then one day, one lady who was sitting over there, suddenly blood was coming on her seat and blood all around her. And she was shivering. And then one woman got up and reached there. She called other women from all the floors. They came. They told men to go out. And she was asked. She said, I went for abortion. It seems it was not complete abortion. And suddenly this has happened. I did not get much leave. Though during those periods, they were not giving leave even for abortion. After that, that case became very strong and we started getting for abortion period also leaves. So when this all happened, what did the sweeper say? Sweeper said, I will not clean the floor. This dirt is created by the woman. And our women had become so bold by that time. They said, you bloody fellow, you are born out of this blood only, whom you are saying it is dirty. This menstrual period blood. And the child takes shape in this blood only. You are insulting your woman, your mother also. Like this, they retorted on him. But then ultimately that girl was taken to hospital and all, everything was done. And then these girls that night, all those my women employees, they forced men folk also to stay back and they garrowed that officer, that lady officer. They said, we will stay whole night. You today only sanction a separate toilet to us. And they got it after that. So now the question of some people having during menstrual cycle very severe problems. And every woman is not having for 5 days. Some women are having for 4 days. Some women have problem for 3 days. Some have extended. That is a very less number. So having that menstrual cycle, when there is trouble to have leaves, is not a backward thinking or stopping women and the employer will say, we will not employ you. What are the employers doing? Do you know? They prefer young girls, unmarried girls. They should work 2-3 years in their factory so that they don't have to give maternity benefit. And then they go away, they employ the new women, they pay them less and all. This is what is going on in the business world. It should be known to Smriti Irani what is happening to our girls. And the married girls are removed from the jobs. So don't you think that we don't know that the jobs are important for women? They are important and the jobs will be given to them. As Maternity Benefit Act came and later on we got the jobs. Similarly, if menstrual cycle, this problem. We asked for paternity leave. We fought for it. Now we have paternity leave. We asked for abortion leave. During that period, we have started getting. And why can't we have during menstrual cycle? So Miss Smriti Irani ji, please look into this question. Your thinking is backward. There is nothing wrong in asking for menstrual cycle period leave. Those who need it, it should be. Everybody will not be enjoying it. Those, honestly, some women should try to see to it. Those honestly who need should ask for, and there should be in general law for that. That's as far as that question is concerned. And now Anisha was saying that when feminism debate comes in the class, the boys become uninterested. It's something to do with our family environments. When in the families, we want everything to be done by the girl and tell the boy to keep sitting and enjoying TV or their game. And the girl, you go to kitchen, you do this thing, you do that. That segregation is taught in the family. If the boys and girls are treated equally in the family and all the respect to the women folk at home itself, and then the value addition they make, the women in running the family and even at the workplace, if all that is made as a part of bringing up process, then we will be able to handle this question. I can understand your pain and your frustration when you find this thing, why these boys are not taking interest. Sometimes I find that girls know what are their difficulties. The boys need to be told more what are the difficulties girls are facing. So this question is there. I think our policy framework must see to it how we have family educations on gender parity. Can there be some designing of courses like this, like we did it in universities for women development studies? Can there be something in
Parent
the
Teachers Association, Parent Teachers Association,
Yeah.
PTAs, no? In
Yeah.
that, it should be taken.
in education as well as in general family education, when the boy and girl are going to have a child, during that period, doctor gives them counseling. But what counseling? Only ऐसे बैठो, ऐसे नहीं बैठो, ऐसे चलो, ये exercise करो. But do they tell them, boy or a girl, whosoever will be coming as a family member, how you will be treating a girl or a boy in the family? That can there be some framework before marriage, some counseling, after marriage counseling, during childbirth counseling? This something needs to be integrated into family system where it is understood that the boys are equally born and they have equal rights for education, for access of every facility. The other day when I saw one girl, I was in Kerala, I returned from there yesterday only. One girl, it was news from Maharashtra perhaps, she wanted to go and take the photographs on New Year Eve because she is doing course of journalism. She said, in the night, I will go and cover what all is happening. Sometimes wrong things are also happening, and I must click those things. And the father said, no, no, no. Something can happen to you. If some incident happens there, what will happen to you? You will not go. And she felt so hurt. She went to the room, and the parents don't know she committed suicide. After a few hours, when they are knocking the door, they are finding a young girl wanting to be journalist, doing journalist course in the final year phase. And if she tomorrow becomes journalist, she will be going to the field. Then why you are stopping now for her to go and have some clicks there? So you can imagine the families who are allowing their girls to educate are also not allowing them to be free of mind and letting them go and do what they want to do. So it's a very, very deeply ingrained thinking that women are something less. They have to be always protected. They themselves should not protect. Why should they be shamed if somebody tells anything to them or tries to harass them? Why should they be shamed? Those people should be shamed who are behaving. Why she should feel shame? and she should think कि मेरे से कुछ गलती हो गया, उससे क्या गलती हो गया. So this will take a long time, but I am always very hopeful. We have traveled up to this. This is very our India, where the girls were not allowed to be educated.
Correct.
And Savitribai Phule is not many years ago. Yes, of course,
191.
some decades ago. But this, we have reached to the level that today we are addressing young girls who will be participating in public policy in different ways, through jobs or through legislators or through administrators or whatever it is. So we have come a long way, but with coming long way, the forces of reaction, backwardness, conservatism or obscurantism are also simultaneously trying to put their pressures. And that battle is becoming stronger now.
Yeah.
So that we have to keep in mind when we are talking of public policy. So this is what I would like to say. If there is any other question, I'm still ready to answer.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that answer. Perhaps we can take a few questions that you can answer together.
Yeah.
Nidhi ji, if you would like to go next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nidhi, and I'm a recent master's graduate in political science from Delhi University. So I want to continue with academics, with further studies in academia due to my keen interest in politics. However, with all due respect, ma'am, I have not found a conducive environment for this pursuit. While I do believe, I seriously, genuinely sense a deficiency in the involvement of women in academic pursuits. And I also am convinced that scholarship plays a significant role in shaping a narrative. So my question to you is, hello? So my question to you is, have academic institutions created an environment that encourages young women to think outside the box, considering your recent suggestion for them to do so? Thank you.
Thank you for that,
question?
Nidhi ji. Pooja ji, if you would like to go next.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Amarjeet ma'am, for an insightful session. My name is Pooja Saxena Nigam. I am an associate professor in Department of Economics, Hindu College, Delhi University. And my question to you, ma'am, is your discussion, your session on challenges has brought in a lot of, a broader picture of the challenges that do exist in our society in various perspectives that you have discussed brilliantly in this session. I would like to know what exactly would you suggest then for women leaders in the context of playing a positive role amidst these challenges that you have discussed. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Pooja ji. We can have Sonal ji next. Sonal ji, are you with us? If not, then maybe Neha ji, would you like to go next?
Yes, hi. Am I audible?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Amarjeet ma'am, for your brilliant lecture. And to be very honest and frank, that I've been going through some of it myself. So I have been working with one of the UN agencies, and I'm looking at women and children. So many a times, what do you observe in your environment is that we find, as you see, there are certain statements by some of the collectors as well as the political leaders, which are really disturbing. And then what happens is the revolution or the kind of campaigns or the exercises that you have been doing for quite long, because I've been working for quite long on menstrual hygiene and as well as gender issues. When you look at the aspirational districts of Chhattisgarh, especially Bijapur, Dantewada, the kind of social norms, the kind of social habitat that the women live in, and the children, young girls, adolescent majorly, they live in, it really the purpose on which you have been working, it gets defied by such statement, because then the larger perspective or the narrative that's going on in the villages, it becomes true. So how do you suggest that we as young scholars or young researchers working in these fields need to keep doing something which can help us in working on these narratives, as well as are there certain do you suggest that there are certain we should go about certain case studies and using all those things in order to discuss all these things in the field? Because most of the time what happens is that in rural areas which are completely deprived and aspirational, there people do not relate to such stories. For example, for Nirbhaya's story, people would not relate to it too much because they are not living there. So when you look at specifically those areas which are conflict affected or which are Naxal affected, so what kind of thought process do you have on these things? That is something that I wanted to ask you. Thank you so much for your lecture once again. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nehali, for that question. If you could please take it from here, the 3 questions. Amarjeet, ma'am?
Any other question?
Sonal ji, if you would like to ask.
Sonal D'Souza. Yeah. Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Are you
Some-
there? Sonal D'Souza ji. Hello.
Some connectivity issues. Tripta, why don't you read it out? Then we have Ravideep Kaur ji also.
Sure. I'll just read it out. It says women comprise 48% of the population of Bharat, with so many contradictory public policies being implemented for women. There is no cognizance of policies towards overall inclusiveness of women, participation in economic development growth in Ambedkar. How does Bharat progress in achievements in SDG 5? There were roundtables recently in G20 summit for gender equality and parity. Yet this dialogue and discussion did not translate into any concrete policies for women uniformly across states. In a current scenario of the upcoming elections, women policies have now become an appeasement vote banks. This is what the question says. And lastly, we have Rabi Deepji, if you would like to go next.
Hi. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much, Amarjeet, ma'am. I was doing a preparation for UPSC and I read a lot of articles from the Hindu. Ma'am, I come from a very background area that Allahabad and the village side area. I have seen that Kiwi women get educated, get job, pursuing our career, but still we carry that patriarchy inside. We are not ready to leave those patriarchy, our lives surrounded by our father and brother, husband. And sometimes those who are not pursuing that, मतलब जिनको नहीं चाहिए कि वो बहुत ज्यादा patriarchy carry करे. It's not that कि we are not respecting that men in our family or in our surrounding, but sometimes when we pursuing our family's quality and people are start saying that कि हाँ तुम बहुत बिगड़ रहे हो, तुम बदतमीज हो रहे हो. But how can change that mindset कि that we are not against, but we are just want our life in our way.
Yes.
Great,
Yes.
thank you, Ravi ji. Ma'am, if you could take it from here.
Is it okay? Can we begin now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, one question is, Nidhi was asking that in academic institutions, do we have an environment to think out of the box? That is what it should be. That is what it should be, and that's what is now through new education policy, whatever little exists, they want to control. Actually, we should give freedom to the younger generation to think the way they want to. Through experience, they will learn. Through telling, they will learn. From peer group, they will learn. From seniors, they will learn. But they should be allowed to think out of the box. That is very necessary, and that's why there should not be dichotomy in what public policy is being made and how you are trying to implement it through educational institutions. There should be consonance in both the things. What you want to achieve should be made available to all the institutions, educational or other institutions or workplaces, everywhere that should get translated. And for that translation, even for any business to grow, for enterprise to grow, for institution to grow, you always say, hey, think out of the box. Let us increase the business, this and that. But if somebody wants to think out of the box in an institution, in a thinking pattern of the society, then you are told ki ye tum kyun kar rahe ho? Why should you do it? So that is necessary. I think it is important. The issue you raised that should be actually the policy to make the younger generation to think out of the box. They may not be telling everything correctly, but many things which comes out, some of those things may be very useful for the society in future. So it is important. Then Pooja was asking about that positive role for women. I could not, I'm forgetting it, what she was saying. Women leaders, huh? Women leaders should play a positive role, of course. It's very necessary because people look towards them. But if the women leaders, instead of giving their mind, want to place the things only what their political party thinks, rightly, wrongly, whatever it is, only they want to pursue, then they are not behaving as women leaders. I will straight away say. You are talking of a party politics where even if it goes against gender, you stand by it. Then how come you are representing women's interest? You are not representing women's interest. I will respect all those women who are able to question their own party also if they think this goes against female gender. Then I will respect, even if a woman is in BJP or in Congress or a communist or a Samajwadi or TMC or any other party. I will respect that woman. Because if you really believe in gender parity and you say that because of women, I must have a right to contest election and I should be given priority, and then you use that women card and you win also, and then you don't stand for the advancement of women as a gender for their benefits, then you are cheating yourself, not only cheating the woman. So I think these women leaders should be role models in taking firm positions in what they believe and not giving up those things. Then Neha was asking, who is working in UN agencies, and that she said there is a contradiction in the what is being told and what is being done. That's what I'm trying to say. If there will be contradiction in what policy statements are there and what is actually being done at the grassroots level, then that contradiction will not take it forward. It will ultimate first land into stagnation, and stagnation cannot continue. Stagnation will go downward, and then we have a regressive movement. So from that point of view, if we find anywhere this happening, we need to take position. And sometimes if we continue taking positions, it does bring a result. I give you an example of, there was a film, if I remember, something like Mirchi or Mirch, something was there.
Mirch masala.
Mirch masala, yes. You see how she keeps fighting and fighting and fighting. Smita Patel is actress there. And she is fighting. And suddenly in the last moment, all those women who were trying to say, Hari Baba, kya kare? This is the situation, what to do? Those rulers, time and again they're telling, but she's insisting and insisting. But somehow those women were knowing she is right. They were knowing she is correct. But she was not they were not finding courage. And the day that fellow, the role Nasiruddin Shah was doing that role, and when he comes with banging those big doors from Chowkidar up till all those women, Smita is finding as if she is defeated. Ultimately, they are coming. But what she kept fighting was going into the minds of those women. And it is those women who pick up that mirch masala and throw into his eyes. And that is the victory that everybody enjoys, that victory. So I am saying that persistence is necessary. Insistence is necessary. Continuous work on what we believe is necessary. And so, as regards you are talking about Chhattisgarh and the down below, similar is situation in the tribal areas of other parts of our country. Naturally, we have to think in terms of what relates to them. Maybe Nirbhaya thing, they are not well versed with the urban life in that manner. They could not relate it to it. But then within their societies, just a replica of these things in a different form is there. So we need to, as researchers and working at the grassroots level, we need to look into their lives and look into examples from there where we can relate. I think Tan Samiji was very successful in winning those tribals and working with them. And he suffered in his old age. We feel so much pain for him. And he was understood by tribals and he understood them. So that relationship by studying them only can come. And women from within them can tell what relates with them. If we work with them, then we have to bring out good brains out of them to really understand those things and to make the researchers going from universities, colleges, and other places and institutions to understand it. Then there was a question that G20 happened, but nothing has come out as far as a policy framework. And you know it, that whole climate thing happened. What came out of that?
Oh,
And now G20, what came out of that? It was question of climate or environment, or it was a question of all kinds of justice being talked about. And that is how we find it. There is contradiction at the international level also. We find that contradiction, what is being talked about and what practically the steps are being suggested. So again, the powerfuls try to win over there. And again, it is neoliberal economic model. Those who want through finance capital capture the markets and natural resources of other countries, they go ahead in their manner without bothering what climate is doing and environment is doing. At present in Europe, some of the cities are suffering with minus 47 temperature. You can understand what all is up. Thousands of vehicles in ice, and they are bringing helicopters to save the people. All this is happening, and in some places extreme heat. The workers are suffering. And their age of death is going down now because that too much heat conditions, this is happening. So extreme cold and extreme heat, and then glaciers, you see, getting melted, all that is happening. So those who are only with the cutthroat competition and too much exploitative competition, they don't bother about anything. And looking at gender thing, they think ये तो small issue है, ये तो छोटा सा issue है, इसका क्या बात है? This is not a serious. Even life-threatening things are not serious for them. So how they will think that these gender issues are so serious for them? That's there, and you know what is happening to the women and children. It's not only in my country women suffer when the exploiting classes are on aggression mood. We are seeing when the aggressors are there, what happens to the people. And we see it's women and children who are the maximum sufferers in Palestine. Then once again, it is the political agenda and common people suffer. And among them, women and children suffer the most. And that's the scenario which we are looking at. The last question, Ravideep, I understand your dichotomy, your difficulty, your problem, that you want to be yourself. The girls want to be themselves. It's not that they are something bad to the society. They want to dress up, eat, sit, enjoy, talk, be friendly. They want to be themselves. And they being themselves is not sometimes tolerated as a good behavior. It's not a question of good or bad behavior. Every human being would want to be herself and himself. When this liberty can be given to a boy, why can't it be given to a girl? So what I will tell you, Ravideep, we have not to be bowed down. Let the people talk. But I know when somebody has to become a first in something and face the wrath, and then many people say, oh, did the wise thing by taking stand we should have taken. And then several of the people start taking stand by giving that example. This is how slowly and slowly the changes in the society come. So we should never give up.
Yeah.
And we should continue in what we believe is correct. And that's how I think all of you in different professions, the young ones who want to continue with your professions, and many of you who want to play important role in public policy wherever you are working, by mobilizing people and mobilizing opinions and going to masses or doing your research work or in your teaching, trying to mold new minds in the positive direction and all. And some of those who out of you who would like to become legislators in the states, in the parliament, everywhere, I can give best wishes to all of you. And I would wish you that never think there will be darkness always. Always believe whatever positive we achieved, the negative forces also advance in a different way. It's not that the contradiction will continue in the society. But with every jump, we achieve certain things. And with that, every jump when we achieve certain things, the negative forces also want to come out with new options to oppose. So this is how the society has been developing from the time immemorial, when human beings were living in jungles. So it is with the kind of these contradictions the society has developed. And these contradictions will continue. But those with positive thinking, forward-looking people should never give up, and they should continue fighting and be in the spirit. And that's what I wish best to all of you.
Yeah,
And
there is a request from the lone man, Mr. Sudeep, that can we take the last question, because so far man have not asked.
Yeah, should speak. Okay, Sudeep, bolo.
Go ahead, Sudeep.
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening, audience. My name is Komal. Due to the technical issues, I joined from one of the host ID. So I am a student of Masters in Public Policy, Law and Governance from Central University of Rajasthan, and me myself has faced on my personal level. We had an incident in our college about gender discrimination and caste-based discrimination. It was little highlighted also that point of time. So we also reached to State Women Commission in Rajasthan. So it was so in that scenario, when we were fighting for this, when we were having a battle on with the administration in our university, so at that time, what we observed is that their implementation, being a public policy student, there are laws, there are amendments, there are everything. But we personally faced discrimination and difficulties in going for having the support of legal aid from police stations, from judge, from courts, from all these areas which we went, and from there we came disappointed because of the corruption, because of the political influence, because of everything which is going around. So how can we tackle that as a leader and as a public policy, who the student of public policy, and how these things are, because these things are very dangerous for the society. So how can we look into all those things?
Yes, that's what we have been talking about, that those who are lawmakers, they leave loopholes. We have to fight in plugging those loopholes. And for that, we have to do mobilization and advocacy at all level. Similarly, those who give judgments, I already told you the kind of judgment this High Court in Rajasthan had given in Vishakha case, when these Sathins, Bhavri Devi's culprits were acquitted. At that time, the kind of arguments were given. one of the judge in Rajasthan, you are talking of Rajasthan, let me tell you. One of the judge who was going to retire next day, on his last day of judgment, he said, in one of the judgment he was giving, and he gave one example. You people, do you know it? When this peacock, male peacock, cries, and his tears fall on a female peacock, she becomes pregnant. Now, a judge who has been giving judgments all through year, on last day he is telling this thing, you understand what is his level. So, mugging up books, doing some courses, and then joining some jobs doesn't make anybody learned person or intellectual. Studying science doesn't make people scientific. So you will find many illiterate masses, the people over there, more scientific and taking science into its real strife. So only books and other things don't help us. If you talk of police, police system is itself is very weak. Their investigation system is poor. They leave certain loopholes that ultimately the case doesn't reach to success. All that we have been telling, the researchers have been telling. And then those who are sitting in police, they are also men with same patriarchal values. When we fought for women commission, then later on, police stations, women cells. Then what we were finding, that man policeman telling the girl who has come after being beaten up by the husband, is telling, "अरे ये चलता है ना, थोड़ा बहुत मारपीट चलता है ना. Why you have come? Tolerate it, in future you will be okay." So that fellow is made to sit to save her from harassment, and he is saying go ahead with the harassment. So we were really, when we were getting these kinds of things, then we took up with the police system that you train your persons who are sitting in the women's cells. They are not supposed to support the perpetrators. They are supposed to counsel both of them. If the marriage succeeds with man mending his ways, and if there is something wrong with women, she also with the counseling to see how they both cope up with the situation, then you cannot force them to live together. If they can't live together, you cannot force them. But if they themselves, by understanding their mistakes, want to live together, you facilitate for their living. But why are you sitting here advising women get beaten up? So this is this we have seen at various places, how the police refused to register Bhamri Devi's case. And they, whichever hospital they went, they were not being allowed the medical test. So, so much was lost in the witness and evidence. So much was lost. Ultimately, it was the mobilization of women which forced the police station to register her case. And even that case which I was mentioning, that woman IPS officer who took up against that DSP Gill, IPS officer, that woman was being told, don't take up this case. It was women organizations who told her, don't miss this opportunity. Be fighter and be an example for other women. Right. And she did it. So police system, police station, they are not so friendly. They are not. It's not that they should not be friendly. It is because the people sitting over there are running the police system of our British era. We are independent India. Much should be changed in the police system itself. And you look at the reports have come from the retired top police officers, how to amend this police system and the police mindset and the delivery of justice and the investigation system. They themselves are selling. Those who have served in police, they know what are the problems. But if the attitude of the policy makers is like this, that you throw out 145 MPs out, and then you pass 2-3 serious laws. Even Britishers did not dare to have that draconian clauses over there, as much have been put. So there is something, mass mobilization, people's mobilization, which is important to stop such kind of thing. Truckers went on strike, flash strike all over India. And immediately the minister had to take cognizance and say, okay, we will remove this 10 years punishment clause and higher punishment and this thing and all. So what should be done? Mass mobilization. Only thing which administrators or the police or the politician understand is masses and mass mobilization. So anything you do have masses with you. Take people into confidence, go to them and explain to them, and they becoming your support, then every policeman will have to listen to. Politician will have to listen to. That's what I have learned through my students' days. From my school days, when I led first strike in my school, and I understood what it means, mass of the people. When all the girls were with me in my school, it was a girls' school, I succeeded in that strike. I did not know what is politics. I did not know what students' politics is. I was not in any student organization. But an issue came up. I was a head girl. Issue came up, and then I tried to deal with it. And for 7-10 days, when the things were not coming up, it is girls who said, we will not sit in the exams. And then I said, okay, I am with you. And I led them. And then I understood what does it mean, mass mobilization. So from that age of 15, 16 years of my age when I was in school, during that first try, all these years, my experience shows, if the masses are with you, if you mobilize the people, that is the only language understood by the administrators, by the policymakers, or by the politicians. So always have combination of research, ground reality, people with you, mass mobilization. As much larger unity you are able to make, then you are able to carry the things forward. Even then, difficulties remain, but those difficulties can be overcome slowly and slowly.
Very well said, ma'am. Thank you so much for that. Just one last question, if we can take.
Megha Kumar, Dr. Megha. So, Doctor, introduce yourself. Yeah. Hello. You have raised hand, Dr. Megha Kumari.
Megha ji?
Are you there?
Yes.
You're audible.
Good evening, all.
Megha.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to ask, ma'am, that how can we women unite as in community? As Smriti Irani, she is woman also, but she is opposed to special leave. So at grassroots level, everywhere we can see. So as an academician, how can I contribute myself to unite women?
Megha, we have not to unite women. We have to unite men and women who stand for gender justice. You will find so many men who will be friends to your understanding. And you will find many women. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
Yeah, but of course, women are the victim. They must be united on this question. We should try to do it. There, I'm not denying your point, but I'm only saying men and women both have to stand together on this question. I tell you, Sakshi and Vinesh Fogat felt strong. Their families felt strong when the men wrestlers were also with them.
Yeah.
And they openly said that we are also feeling that, yes, they were feeling harassed and confiding into us. And we ourselves feel ashamed if this happens in our field. So it was a great strength to those girls also. And to those boys, it was gracious for them that those women wrestlers were having praise for those boys who were standing with them at Jantar Mantar and being with them in that agitation. So of course, we have to first mobilize women, definitely, but men and women together. Let me tell you that being a trade unionist, I won't deny that every field, political parties or the movements of various kinds, or the universities or institutions or the trade unions, everywhere, you will have that undercurrent of patriarchy. That is everywhere. And you have to be very consciously carrying forward this whole battle of justice to women as your equal partners and equal human beings. That's how in the international arena, from 1975, when first International Women Conference happened at UN level and parallel conference to that for NGOs. And from 1975, beginning from Mexico, then next conference happened in Copenhagen, which I attended as a student leader from Asia Pacific. I was heading All India Student Federation at that time as General Secretary. So in 1980 there, then in 1985, it happened in Nairobi. And then in 1995, it happened in China. So from my 1980 journey, beginning from 75, that women conference, 80 I attended. From 75 to 95, 20 years it took to the international women's movement to reach a slogan, and that is women's rights are human rights. And I remember in Copenhagen how every issue which I was debating today in your presence, and all of you have been fighting on those questions, and you have been saying political participation. Vibhuti ji was mentioning about 33% reservation bill passed. Geeta Mukherjee had brought the private persons bill. I just want to remind you, we were sitting in the gallery there when this bill was first time being introduced officially from the government side after Geeta Mukherjee had put it. What we saw, the first opposition came from a woman, not from a man. And then that woman was immediately joined by men of various parties. But that opposition came from Uma Bharti. Yeah. And she spoke about OBC reservation is not there, stop this bill. We were saying pass this bill and then amend Indian Constitution to bring OBC into People's Representation Act. It will automatically apply into that. SC/ST is applying into it. OBC you do in Constitution amendment, it will apply here. But to stall that bill so many years ago, there would have been so much change today in Indian polity. 95 I am talking of that period. This bill was introduced in 1996. So that was the period 96 to 98 when Dev Gowda ji was Prime Minister. Later on, I.K. Gujral became Prime Minister. That 18 months rule of United Front government, and this bill first by Geeta Mukherjee, then officially by one Prime Minister, then officially by I.K. Gujral. All that has happened. I was sitting in the gallery because Geeta Mukherjee said all women leaders should come here and sit in the gallery and watch the politicians of this country who supports and who opposes. To our dismay, it was a woman who opposed it. So, and now with all this journey, ultimately, the ruling party had so many years, they could have brought earlier. Because without delimitation, you will not be able to implement it. Correct. That's why you are talking of 2026. Then who guarantees that the delimitation will be done by that time and this bill will be really brought into practice? Nobody knows it. Yeah. So the dodging continues happening. So in this situation of dodging situation, men and women both have to be with us, and men and women both will be with patriarchy opposing us. So we have to slowly become a majority against those who do not believe in gender parity. Then we will succeed in many of the things. All the best to all of you.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Really, the way painstakingly you have answered with such convincing examples, it has just given us tonic.
Actually, ma'am, what I observe, what I observe that के हम लोग मैन हमारे साथ जरूर होते हैं, बट एक्चुअली जो जज करती हैं, जजमेंटल होती हैं, वो एक वुमेन होती हैं. दैट्स व्हाई आई आस्क क्वेश्चन कि हम फ्री होना चाहते हैं, बट शी स्टॉप्ड us. That's why.
मेघा, तुम बिल्कुल ठीक कह रही हो. मैंने एग्जाम्पल भी दिया था कि जब हम सती के इशू पे दिल्ली में मार्च निकाले तो एक पैरेलल मार्च निकला, और वो पैरेलल मार्च औरतों का था जिन्होंने कहा हमें सती होना है. तो आई नो इट. एंड मैं गुजरात नहीं भूली हूँ. बिल्किस बानो के बाद जब पूरा इशू उठ रहा था कि क्या हो रहा है औरतों के साथ, तो उस टाइम पे वुमेन सेड टू मेन ऑफ देयर फैमिलीज, जाओ इनको लेसन सिखाओ. how women are used in punishing different communities or different religious faith. We have seen it in Gujarat. And I gave you example, a woman siding with those in Punjab when this Khalistani movement was there, women against women. Some women along with those Khalistani groups were also telling women going to the masses and saying, "Ke nahi, skirt nahi pehno, sari nahi pehno, sir pe chuni pehno," all those things. So this is true. Why it is true? In the family, they are brought up in that way. They should never
Yes.
be assertive. They should not be talking loudly. They should not stand on the door. When the men have come to visit the family, they should hide in the rooms or go to the kitchens and all. We bring them up as timid, or we bring them up that this is how the life has been going on, and we have to carry forward this kind of a so-called Sanskriti. That's why they behave like that, because they are made to behave like that. It will take time. That's why younger generation is important. So generation to generation, these changes will come. And we are witnessing those changes happening. But because
Yes,
you are
ma'am.
within that generation, you may not be realizing that difference. I can realize that difference from my younger age up to this age. I am realizing both the differences. Advances made and adverse situation coming in front of us. That contradiction is deepening. That I find. But I do find lots of advance happening, lot many girls coming to schools and colleges, lot many girls raising their questions, lot many girls saying we will go in our own way. All that is also happening.
Yes.
It's a deep contradiction. This is a good sign that this fight is becoming more sharp. And this sharpening fight will take us to the side of victory in the coming years.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering all the questions and for such an insightful and informative session.
Even spellbound. Yeah.
Yeah, extremely. And thank you for taking out your valuable time and giving an opportunity to our participants to learn from you. We really hope to have you again at IMPRI, and we really hope to learn from you, and we hope that you can inspire us once again. Thank you so much, ma'am. With
Thank you,
that, I think
everybody.
we can, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
We can move forward with the introduction session. I would request all our participants to perhaps introduce themselves, about themselves, a bit about themselves, perhaps their name, their location, designation, organization, and a brief background and why they chose this course. Please feel free to switch on your cameras and unmute yourself and speak up. This is a very safe space, and we hope to have a lot of interaction with all of you. Perhaps we can start with Meghaji. Would you like to go first?
Yes, but I'm unable to switch on my camera. Actually, I can't find
Okay,
the
so
option.
No
I'm
problem.
trying.
introduce it. Started his introduction. Yeah.
Yes.
Meghaji,
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Feel free. Yeah.
Okay. I, Dr. Megha Kumari, Assistant Professor from Sahibganj College, Sahibganj, Jharkhand.
Thank you so much. And would you like to tell us a bit about why you chose this course?
Yes, because of as my questions that I noticed, and as a woman, I face that many problems exist in front of us. So I want to do some things in this field. That's why I joined, so that I can learn something, and I can empower at least in my sphere, like my girls student, so that she will be succeed in future.
Thank you so much, Meghaji. Meenalji, would you like to go next?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Currently, myself, Minal Katpalayar. Currently, I'm doing my master's in engineering in sanitation, science, technology, and management from BITS Pilani, Goa. Currently, I'm doing my internship with an NGO in Bangalore, which works for the consultation in the sector for the WASH. So, the main reason for choosing the public policy was I had a course during my graduation related to the public policy, and it gave the interest for the same. That's the reason for choosing the course. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meenarji. Perhaps next we can have Anisha ji. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I already introduced myself while asking the question. So I'm working as an assistant professor in Bangalore and I'm teaching English. And I've done my master's from Lady Shri Ram in Delhi itself. And I wanted to join this course too much because I wanted to start with my research journey. So for my PhD, I wanted to do something which is more impact based. So that is the reason I wanted to know about public policy to understand the research gap where I can work at the grassroots to understand what can I do and how can I contribute. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anisha ji. Pooja ji, would you like to go next?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I'm unable to start my video. I'm Dr. Pooja Saxena Nigam. I'm Associate Professor in the Department of Economics, Hindu College, University of Delhi. And I specialize in development economics and hence the interest in public policy. And I also wanted, via this course, I'm not as young as the others would be because I have around 17 years of experience in the teaching field, in the field of academics. But I wanted to broaden my horizons. I wanted to get into a program like this where I could interact and gain insights into fields which are, broader than pure economics. And hence an interest into this course. And Ma'am Amarjeet, today's session was, in fact, a very insightful session to begin with. So looking forward to a very, you can say, inspiring set of interactions via this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Just one sentence, Pooja.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You are not old enough. 17 year into it. We Indians, you see, as soon as we are in near 50s, we start telling we are old. Up to 50, we are young, Baba. We are
Yes,
not
ma'am.
old.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I am 71 and I still say I am not old. I will call myself old when I am 75 plus.
No, ma'am. Actually, when I was registering for the course, the first thing that struck me was, am I that young? But I still wanted to go ahead.
No. At every age, we have to work.
Young at
Yes,
heart.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pooja ji. Pratibha ji, you can go next.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Pratibha. I currently run a non-profit in education, and we focus on school education. And the idea behind the work is how can we develop the agency of children in learning? So how do we put children more at the forefront of it? And the underlying strong belief that I have is in restoring the agency of any person in life, because I've had the privilege of having that in my life. And women and gender rights is something that's very close to my heart, and therefore I wanted to understand a little more about how these play out in public policy, what type of background goes behind the thinking about it and everything. And I think Amarjeet ma'am's talk today was the perfect segue or introduction into this whole course. So thank you so much. Looking forward to a lot of engaging conversation.
Thank you so much, Pratibha ji, for that. Meenakshi ji, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Meenakshi Ravi Krishna from Bangalore. I've been working at the grassroots for the past 15 years. When I say grassroots, I've been working with people in the constituency level, and I've also been identified as one of the MLA candidates in my constituency. And I've also, I'm a founder of a group called Bengaluru Water Warriors, where we have worked for water conservation and awareness on rainwater harvesting. And why I'm here today is to understand more about public policy. I've always seen that there is no clarity among people about the roles of different elected representatives. What's the role of a councillor or a corporator? What's the role of an MLA, an MP? And people, I still feel that there's a lot more to be done at the level of creating awareness about electoral politics and importance of each elected representative. So I'm looking at opening something for the people, something like a think tank to create awareness of electoral politics and good governance in the city level. Thank you so much. That's my introduction. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for that.
Tripta, one comment I want to make. Meenakshi,
Yes, yes.
you say that you will be contesting elections. Also, it is something good. And it's very important. We found when the Panchayati Raj institution, 33% reservation was brought. Later on, it was made 50% by some states. All the agendas of Panchayat shifted towards needs of the people. Question of water, question of fuel, question of education, question of cleanliness, question of environment and tree plantation, etc. So it does make, because women doesn't think of self, women starts thinking about family, and that brings in a change in society also. So it's important if more and more consciously, not as tools of some one political party or other, but consciously whichever party they choose with the thinking and understanding, and then they should stand their ground. With that understanding, if they enter into political system, they will make a difference.
Oh, wow. That's like really, I completely agree with what you say, because since I have also worked closely for a legislative assembly election as a campaign manager of one of the winning candidates. So I completely understand when we speak to people and they don't know what's the role of the elected representative. So they just come and ask, will you provide water? Will there be any difficulty in power supply? So please, like let's be more aware of why we are being elected and what is the role of our this thing elected representative. So I'm like very happy to hear from you about whatever you have spoken today. It's like there's just given me a new perspective of how we can be an inclusive society. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Meenakshi ji.
Yeah, thanks.
Sita ji, if you would like to go next.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, everyone. I'm Preeta. I'm from Chennai. I come from economics background, and to just give an overview on my professional front, I have been with a public policy do tank called Indus Action, where I worked on looking at gaps and challenges in accessing social welfare schemes and how do you bridge the gap. And I also worked on advocating for right to education section 12(1)(c) in the state of Tamil Nadu. Currently, I'm with an organization called Citizens for Law and Democracy. They work on educational equity, specifically focusing on how you can use English as a tool for upward social mobility. So why I wanted to pick this course is, as I'm currently working with this organization, I have looked at how English can be used as a tool for social mobility for women specifically, and how there hasn't been a lot of highlight on this issue in the policy space. So wanted to come to this platform to see if we can bring this to front here and see what women in the policy space also think about that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sita ji. Arundhati ji, you would like to go? You're on mute.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Arundhati. I'm a finance graduate. I'm currently working with a private equity firm. So we basically do socially responsible investing. So a major part of social impact investing is looking at investments through the DEI lens, which is the diversity, equity, and inclusion lens. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this course, and I have always had an interest in public policy. So I'm looking forward to learning from all of you guys. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Arundhati ji. Shweta ji, if you would like to go next.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Shweta Manik Shetty. I am an architect by profession, and I work as a design strategist, especially in the field of public building design and public spaces. And I know the importance of strategy for inclusivity. So I generally really kind of push these kind of strategies for actual planning and actual execution purposes. And I just wanted to know more about public policy and how it can help, or how I can help as a citizen, as an architect. That's why I joined this course.
Thank you so much. I hope this
Thank you.
enables you to do that. Thank you.
Thank
Aditi
you.
ji, if you would like to go next. Aditi Chaudhary ji, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Vibhuti. I have graduated from Miranda House and currently I am preparing for civil services, and I'm also pursuing masters in public administration. Yeah, I mean through distance, not regularly. So I belong to Jammu. So first of all, thanks for providing such an environment. Yeah, such a safe and secure environment. The reason why I wanted to join this was that I needed a safe and secure environment for discussions and debates. Having studied a lot of things, I wanted to see its practical implications, how it affects everyday life. Like I further aim to do research and to further analyze things and not just stay restricted to few things, because through just a year of my preparation or so, I have realized that people is the strongest force. Like if we develop civic culture, we will have we can solve a lot of problems. So having already attended a lot of sessions by IMPRI, I already know. So I'm quite well aware with all the sessions that go. So I'm quite excited, and with all the panelists and with all the amazing participants that we have with us. So thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you so much, Aditi ji. Riya ji, if you would like to go next.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I am Riya Pandey, a second year student of economics at Delhi University. And the field of public policy has always fascinated me because it definitely, opens new doors to how politics is being judged, how the social arena is currently playing a role. And this course shall really help me to deep dive into the realm of public policy and is very much in line with my career plan for the future to do research projects and stuff. And I'm really glad that I got this opportunity to be a part of this insightful session.
Thank you so much, Riya ji. We're left with Rashmi ji, if you would like to go next. Yeah, go ahead. Rashmi ji? Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. So myself, Rashmi, I am from Bangalore. I'm currently working in the early childhood care and education space. I'm working for an edtech organization and leading Anganwadi programs currently. So as I am very um grounded and working with women and children right now, so majorly my part has been into program implementation. So never I have got an opportunity to look through this policy making or anything. So this is a right platform, I thought, to learn more about it and to uh, upgrade my knowledge about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rashmi ji. If it yeah.
Tripta,
Yes, sir.
she just now said the last participant, Rashmi. She is
Yes, ma'am.
the early child care and with the Anganwadi centers and all. Now look at the public policy point of view, how important it is. We unions fought for child care centers, crashes for children so that men and women could work. So changes were brought in factory law and all. Then after 74, 75, this ICDS scheme was introduced. Once the ICDS scheme was introduced, it was meant for 0 to 6. So the idea was not only taking care of child and its child's immunization and mother's care also before giving birth to the child, and the children 0 to 6 to be taken care of, taking care of malnutrition and pre-education. We also later on with the studies found that if our women in the informal economy, they are able to depend on these ICDS centers, and these centers are made full day working, it will be great help to our women workers, vast majority of them who are in informal economy. So when the public policy question comes, we have been debating for years and years. So this is one thing which is very important, that if ICDS centers are made full day, then these child care services could be given to the women who are working women, going to factories, going to homes as domestic workers, or even doing home-based work or in different areas. Because middle classes and upper middle classes can afford private crutches. These women cannot, and their children suffer. And the elder girl child is removed from school to take care of siblings. And sometimes they lock their children from outside, small 2-3 children there, and then these women go out for work and accidents happened. So from public policy point of view, it's very, very important point. When women are into the public policy, we have to insist what will happen to their needs of their child care. It's important from for future also, and it is important from women's point of view also.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll take care of that when we are on ground.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Rashmi ji. Sonal ji, you can go next. Your voice is breaking for us a little. Sonal ji? Till the time maybe Harshini ji or Jesti ji can introduce themselves.
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you for the wonderful session, ma'am. My name is Harshini. I'm a law student in National Law School, Bangalore. I joined this course because I'm interested to learn about public policy and understand how the working of public policy is. So that is why I joined this course. Thank you.
Yeah, you have written in chat box also.
Thank you so much, Harshini ji. We're through with most. Komal ji, if you would like to go. You're on mute, yeah. Could you unmute? Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I am a master student in public policy, law and governance. And first of all, I would like to show this happiness because other than public policy students, so many people are interested in public policy domain. So that is really good. And which itself tells me that how broad this area is and how people are working. Nevertheless, they are not from this background. So and women studies always have intrigued me, and I aspire to do further research about it. And it is also my personal experiences which took me into this area. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rashmi ji. Sonal ji, if that has been fixed, if you could, yeah. Could you say something? Not sure if we can hear you. Okay, yeah. Perhaps you can put it in the chat box, yeah.
Yeah.
And Sudeep ji?
That means Komal ji. Her name is.
Sorry, yeah. Okay. And are we left, in case we're left with anyone, you can feel free to unmute yourself and introduce. Rinku ji, if we missed them.
Hello?
Yes, Komal ji? I think we've covered more or less everyone. In case anyone's been missed.
Yeah, I can.
Yes, go ahead, Rinku ji.
Yeah, so I am Ms. Rinku Shekhawat and I'm currently working with State Bank of India as Deputy Manager. And I just wanted to join the session because it's been so long and I just wanted to break away from the monotony of the banking and maybe to gain a new perspective on the women leadership, and maybe I can take it further in the same organization.
Thank you so much, Rinkuji. We have a few in the chat box that I'll read out perhaps. Chinmay ji has written, I'm Chinmay. I'm a second year media student and I'm very interested in politics and public and policy making. Thank you so much for joining in, Chinmay ji. And we also have Padma Uikeji, if I'm pronouncing it right. She introduces herself as Padma ji from AAA Foundation, Arogya Sathi, located in Gadchiroli district of Maharashtra, working as a project manager. My thematic area of working in women empowerment, our special focus is on ensuring women's forest rights. Thank you so much for joining, Padma ji. I hope we haven't missed anyone. I think everyone's been covered. This has been a extremely long session, although it didn't feel like one. It has been extremely engaging. We have had a lot of interaction from a diverse set of participants, and if I think the entire team, and I will speak on behalf of everyone when I say this, that we really look forward to interacting with all of you more and more and talk about women's issues further. I think if I have Vibhuti ma'am and Amarjeet ma'am's permission, perhaps we can wrap up today's session.
Yes, we can wrap up today's
Yes, we should wrap up, and many of them were from Bangalore.
Yeah.
So just first I was in Bangalore attending my state ITUC council meeting, and one of them was telling she's from law college. Let me tell those who are doing law, let them understand there are too many loopholes in our laws which are gender insensitive. You should understand that woman is yet not a natural guardian of the child. You should know our law is treating man as the natural guardian. She is natural guardian only when husband is insane or gone away to jungles, not available for 6-7 years. Then she can be treated as guardian to the child for the purposes of handling the property papers and all. And just you imagine, woman is giving birth to the child and she is not natural guardian as per law. So there are many discrepancies even in laws. So those who are in legal field, those who talked that I am doing law and I am from this college of law or that college of law, you people should look into that question also. Enough needs to be done to bring gender sensitivity even in laws. In jurisprudence, there is a lot to do. Only that I wanted to say, and I really say that it is very, very interesting group. People from our women from various fields. So it encompasses, actually in public policy, you need all these people to be playing their role. So once again, I would like to thank IMPRI. Thanks to Vibhuti ji and Tripta, you have been conducting. Thank you very much for inviting me. Good health to everybody.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I skipped our team. Priyanka, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, yes. So I'm myself Priyanka Negi. I'm a researcher here at IMPRI, and we were supposed to have another slot for giving a brief detail of how the program is going to proceed and regarding the guidelines document as well. As you can see, this is our guidelines document. However, due to the time constraints now, we will be having this session in the next slot. That is for the next day we'll be conducting this slot. We will be sharing this document with all of you over mail. This document comprises of how you're supposed to write your creative project and what details you need to take care of, both the presentation as well as the essay submission part of it. So please do make sure that you read it. We will be going through this document in the next slot for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. I think with that, we can perhaps wrap up today's session. As we come to an end of day one of YWLPPF, the Young Women Leaders in Public Policy Fellowship, a 2-month online immersive introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program. I, Tripta Behra, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, would like to propose the formal vote of thanks on behalf of IMPRI Gender Impact Studies Center, GISC. We are extremely grateful to our experts for day one of this course, Professor Vibhuti Patel and Ms. Amarjeet Kaur. Thank you so much for taking out your valuable time and giving an opportunity to the participants to learn from this online certificate program. We thank all of our participants who have raised pertinent questions and actively participated in today's deliberation. The feedback form will be shared. Kindly feel apologies for that. We are grateful if you are watching us later on YouTube or listening to us on our various podcasts or reading our publications. We hope you continue to join in future to our IMPRI Web Policy Talk and Web Policy Learning. Wishing you all a very good evening. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.